When we want to save all the changes we have made in the collection, we have to click on Save. It indicates us that it is being saved and that it is already saved in the database. Otherwise, when we leave this screen, we would lose this data. To this first object, we are going to give the name of bookends. We can make it public, we save it. And now we could view or share it, so that an end user can see it with this link. In which the end user can modify the parameters. And place the order for this piece of furniture. Enter your email or your phone number. So we as a manufacturer can go to our collections page and see the orders we have. In this case, we see that we have this order from this address in which we indicate which are the parameters, or we can see directly the order that we have made with these parameters. This would be the data chosen by the user. To change the name of the object, we change it here. We say it is public, save the data, and save the collection. We are going to use this same piece of furniture to create the second piece of furniture, which is going to be some shelves. We can start from scratch, but since we already have a horizontal and a vertical board that's going to be the components of our shelves, we can hit duplicate, and in this second piece of furniture, we already name it. Bookcase. We don't make it public yet. We keep it, and in addition to length and height, we're going to define the number of shelves it's going to have. It's going to be in units. We define shelves. The minimum number of shelves is going to be 1, and the maximum is going to be 12. We can change one by one, and the default value is going to be 6 shelves. We save this parameter, update the 3D view to include the new parameter. We see, as it appears here, the shelves. We can also change the default values. The length, instead of being 30, the default value is, let's set it to 60. And the size, here we'll start with a 10 centimeter shelf, and it can be up to 1.20 wide. And the height, we modify it so that the minimum height is 10 centimeters and the maximum height is 2.40 meters. We update to show the new default values and limits. Here we have told it that there are 6 bales, but we have not yet indicated it in the drawing, so only one bale appears, the same as only one of the side walls appears. If we want to put 6 shelves, an option would be to duplicate the shelves, but with that, we would not leave the control for the user to change them. What we do is we edit this value and we use the size, the number of elements that we are going to put. Here we can test that by putting 3. We can tell it that the position of those 3 shelves is related to the index parameter, which is created when we define a value for array_size. This index value is going to have the values of 0, 1, and 2. If we zoom in a little bit, we can see that it has created the 3 shelves. If we want these shelves to be separated from the following ones in a proportional way, what we can do is we can use the height and divide it by the gaps. With 3 shelves, there's going to be 2 slots. With 6 shelves, there will be 5. So the size of each hole is going to be the height divided by the number of shelves minus 1. We can put here, height. Here it's making space for 3 shelves, because here we have put here to put 3 shelves. If instead of putting 3 shelves, we indicate that it is the parameter shelves, here we have 6. If we reduce, we see the size that we're getting. Okay, so here we see that we've put in shelves 2. We put shelves minus 1, so that's already putting it in the slot that we have. We can adjust it a little bit more because the last shelf is going to be right on top of it. We see here that it would be on top of the sideboard. We will have to remove this height. But before we remove this height, let's put up the second sidewall to see what effect it's going to produce. We go to the edit area, and in this case, we simply tell it that the array_size is 2, which is going to give us a second table. The application introduces directly the index parameter. We can put it in the place that we want. In this case, it has been the suitable place, which is the x-axis. If we had wanted to put it in the y-axis, the table will appear in this place, and if we put it in z, it appears above. We leave it as it was in x, and the distance, instead of being 1 meter, which is the default value, this index is multiplied by 1. Instead of multiplying it by 1, we multiply it by the length. The top shelf we have to lower. Actually, we'll lower all the same value. And what we can check now is that the size of this piece is going to be the size of the horizontal, which is long. Less thickness plus this thickness and this thickness. That is, since we now have 2 sideboards unlike the bookend, it would be minus thickness times 2. We see that the shelf is separated from the side wall. If we put the size, instead of thin, we put it in thick, we can better appreciate this change. Because what we're missing is that the vertical wall, instead of being multiplied by the length, it has to be multiplied by the length minus the thickness. In the height, we have said that we have to reduce this size. This is in the horizontal stripes that we have. Since it is the height, the space that we have to distribute must be the whole height, minus the thickness of the shelf. So here we put the height in parentheses. We subtract the thickness, so now we see that for different thicknesses, it always goes to the top. And that the shelf goes from the bottom to the top. if we would like to leave a gap between the first shelf and the floor. What we would do is that we would add a height to this Z and subtract it from the total height that we distribute between the strips.